So with that, ladies and gentlemen and advocates of longevity and pioneers, our final keynote speaker is truly a pioneer herself, both as a leader, how she came into the longevity space, which many times happen because you have a personal issue which she had with her son, but she's a pioneer within gene therapy and one of the boldest voices in the field as well, because she allows also to be provocative, not least as gene therapy, as we know, is not accessible, but she's really traveling the globe around to really make this accessible in certain parts of the world. She's the founder and CEO of BioViva, a driven humanitarian entrepreneur and a leading voice for genetic cures, and she's championing gene therapies as a path to human rejuvenation. And here we can talk about human trials because she is doing this on herself. Please give it up, if she's with us, Liz Parrish. Hopefully.
Okay, fantastic. It's nice to be here, everyone. And so let me get my slides ready. Hi, Jose, how are you? Awesome. Okay, great. I can share my slides, it looks like, and so we'll get on that. I hope everyone's enjoying the conference. It looks like you guys had a terrific march for the death of death. So fantastic, and congratulations on that. Okay, fantastic. So we're going to talk about the evolution of gene therapy, where we've been and where we are going. As you know, BioViva has had a little bit of a rocky road this year because of what's called hands-off research. Hi! I can see everyone in the audience. Hey everyone, woo! Shake it up, get your body moving. I know it's evening for you, but it's early in the morning for me. You guys all look fantastic. So let me proceed. In hands-off research, what we do is we pay a university to do research, and then sometimes there are things called detractors, and sometimes there are things called missteps in science. And right now we have a paper that's under review for just that. And I imagine the infernos of hell are going to be burning bright in the near future for one side or the other. So we can't talk too much about that today because that's under investigation. But I'll let you know that our company is dedicated to science and science working for humans. We are a translational engine, and that's what we're going to get into today. If science can't translate to humans, then we are all going to die. And I'm going to show you how we have proven that science has already translated and that we can build upon it. But if we are detracted from and science is blocked, that would be the responsibility of the murder of millions of people. And so we also have to watch that side of the aisle. So let's get into an exciting presentation in which I think you can all agree we need to cure aging. So we're going to go back really quick historically into the death records of humans, and this is because I want to show you that science is already working. We have basically elucidated many different scientific advances to extend human lifespan, and these records are evidence of that. So in 1665, we vastly died of infectious disease. And because we took it so seriously, by the year of 1900, we got that infectious disease rate down to almost 50% of the population. And that was because we used science, a technology that's rigorous, that tests whether or not something will work to circumvent, maybe in this case, a death outcome. And this is fantastic because this made it so that we could live longer and healthier. But if you notice this graph, we start to see the expansion of diseases that we didn't have on the original graph, and that is because we started to name aging-associated diseases. So by the year 2010, only 3% of the population is dying of infectious disease. And this is science showing that already it's working on life extension. So longevity science started way back, probably around the 1800s, and has advanced beautifully since then. So if people say that it is science fiction to extend a lifespan, actually most of the population has already benefited from that. So when we look at old medicine, we looked at symptom management, and we still have a lot of this, mostly in the healthcare system, not so much in medical tourism. But we do what's called symptom management, and we use tools, and we look at herbal remedies and natural things that we can do. And this is really still where diet and exercise lies. It's a powerful technology, and you can see that it got us a long ways. Then as we advanced, we worked into diagnostics. How did we actually diagnose something before it happened instead of waiting for it to happen? And this really opened the realm of regenerative medicine to step in, and that is really the third stage, which is using regenerative medicine to create a cell that stays in homeostasis, that ages as slowly as possible, or maybe even reverses aging. So I'm going to talk about our modalities of how we work, and we work at BioViva in genetics and in gene therapy. So our mission is to find gene therapies that will modulate the aging process and keep the body in homeostasis. How I became a GMO, and why I think you will too, was a long journey that I've had over 12 years in regenerative medicine and 10 years with the company BioViva. And the evidence that we've shown that probably actually working with genetic therapeutics is the best way to move forward for most of the population, because then you can set a lot of your biological aging therapies and forget them, at least for 10 to 15 years. And that's an unimaginably powerful tool. We will probably need other tools alongside this technology, and we'll talk about those as we go. So why I became a GMO is I was working in regenerative medicine for 2 years, and my son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 2013. So after working in the regenerative medicine space, I thought that once I ended up in the hospital, or a loved one did, that this regenerative medicine technology would be available for us, that we would not be fighting diseases with palliative care. But in fact, I was wrong. This type of technology was not translating quickly, not quickly enough for most patients. On the heels of going to a SENS conference later that year to meet the professor of genetics at Harvard, George Church, which eventually joined the company as a founder, I found out that by treating biological aging and treating the genetic basis of biological aging, we could actually expedite cures for these kids. And so my company BioViva, every gene we have chosen since then will actually treat both ends of the spectrum, so the aging population and the young population, basically taking care of the critical care for the most vulnerable populations on the planet. And why do we need to do that? Because both vulnerable ends of the population drain a lot in resources. So when you're young, you don't have a job, makes sense. Society pays for you to grow up, then you're in your earning stages in which you are profitable in the sense that you're above what it costs to live. And then as you age, unfortunately, you fall back below this line. And this is really critical because many people who are in this age group of around 55 still have dreams. There are still things they want to do, but these estimates in earning versus eating would tell us that your dreams are over and you better brace for the future of really high costs in healthcare. We want to change that. So what does that look like? Let's go back to 1665. Infectious disease, you're going along, you get an infectious disease, you die fast. The middle graph is what happens today. That is the death curve, the slow death curve and decline into end-stage diseases. And what happens is you get a symptom, and then we try to recover you with today's medicine. But generally, we put you back on the death curve, and your health continues to decline, but you continue to consume these drugs that at least keep you alive. The graph on the right we call tomorrow's medicine, but it's already started about 10 years ago when we started. And this is what happens when we look at genetics, the ability to potentially restore the body to a healthy state. I was just at Harvard with David Sinclair a couple days ago, and he has amazing research also going on in gene therapy, some of the things that we do at BioViva as well. And incorporating all of these things looks incredibly promising to maybe deliver on this graph that I'm showing you. So what is gene therapy? With gene therapy today, we use AAV. It's adeno-associated virus. It is what used to be a virus, and it's now attenuated and called a vector. It can no longer get you sick. But what's really great about these vectors is nature has designed them eloquently to deliver to your cells genetic material to the nucleus for long-term expression. So we can take something that used to get you sick and turn it into something that delivers healthy genes that are required for sustained gene expression of youthful bodies. And basically we call that a regain of function and a restoration to healthy and therapeutic benefit of these genes. So what you'll see is it delivers that gene sequence into the nucleus of the cell, and then it's transcribed and it creates a protein. And those proteins are what make you up. So those proteins are very important for the health of your body. They're given by IV, intramuscular injection, intranasal injection, organ delivery directly, and there are some gene therapies that are given topical for children with rare skin disorders. We don't do topical gene therapy at this point, but we do every other type of delivery. Actually, this is an image that was just pulled because it was a beautiful image, but actually that's a lot what gene therapy looks like. It's a clear liquid. I think a lot of people wonder what their injection would look like, and it is a clear liquid, and not very scary, but very wonderful. Now here is where we're going to show the benefit of gene therapy that's already happening. So on the left side, this boy has muscular dystrophy, and he's trying to climb stairs. And the first place that follistatin, the gene follistatin that's now often used in medical tourism for an aging population, was in Duchenne's and Becker's muscular dystrophy, and this was one of the patients. This was him 3 months after gene therapy. Now, we're hypothesizing that patients over the age of 70 will also need a secondary gene therapy that we are going to start using with follistatin to increase their muscle mass and strength due to other deleterious effects of biological aging. And so you're going to hear about that soon. But already we have showed a myriad of successes in patients with this gene. Again, according to studies in hemophilia B, with this delivery method, patients 13 years later are still showing expression of gene function. So that's fantastic. So first of all, the area of gene therapy started in fixing underlying genetic problems, and this is where it really went to show its major successes. And what made us realize that it had the propensity to probably treat diseases that are more complex in order. And these are the therapies that are already approved in the gene therapy space. So if you think that this is up and coming technology, it is not. It's already approved by the FDA for 13 therapies. So these are all the therapies that are available now. They come with an enormous price tag because when you treat a small population, you create a very expensive technology. But by treating biological aging, we could actually making these type of therapies just free for young patients and patients who just need to come up to the line of stability with the rest of the population. Preventative medicine is probably the best place for gene therapy. In those conditions that I just showed you, you could consider the gene therapy itself a preventative medicine that keeps those children from having the outcome of those diseases. If we catch patients earlier, we will probably have much more benefit with gene therapy. And so I believe that as this technology is shown safe, it will be used with younger and younger patients. On the longevity side, what we can do today is we can lengthen your telomeres. We have so many patients' data now that shows that we can do that, and that's wonderful. And that includes the shortest telomeres, which are very important to target. We can increase muscle mass, definitely. I did not work out today, so I'm probably not all pumped up, but that is something we can do, and that is a beautiful consequence of follistatin gene therapy. Now, in aging patients who are over a certain age who don't have precursor stem cells, we are still waiting to see how well we can do. Cognitive enhancement, we can accomplish this. I don't want to make any claims here, but when we do alpha-klotho gene therapy, we have seen an average increase in a standard deviation of IQ tests, and that's pretty powerful because that could take people who are really low on the spectrum and make them more functioning, and people who are really high, well, it can make them even more awesome, okay? So we need more of those people. So kidney protection, that is something that we can do with 2 gene therapies that we have. Mitochondrial therapy, we have a therapy that is specifically for that. We are working into 5 new candidates that we will be launching in actually the next 6 months and getting the first human data on. And they all benefit mitochondria as well. Cardiovascular protection is something we can do with one of our gene therapies. Metabolic health, several of our gene therapies target metabolic health. Nerve regeneration is something in the process, and there's a wonderful gene that is associated with rescaffolding. Also, there is evidence that the OSK factors benefit nerve regeneration as well. And then, of course, epigenetic reprogramming, that's been all over the news, and we have our own proprietary form of doing that. Okay, all right. It's fun to be home because I can kind of play around here, so sorry if I've got too much energy for you. So in an ever-changing world, we need to genetically modify to basically survive the future, survive dying of death and disease. And Jose is definitely behind the crusade to make sure that you are aware of our enemies. The environment is also an enemy. Living in extreme conditions is also an enemy. And so we need to work towards that. Enhancing and continual repair is critical for us to get the most out of life. We definitely want to stick with being able to get out and do the things that we love, and I am a huge proponent of gene therapy for that. Integrating technology, Sam Altman was talking about how they're looking for genes now to basically help integrate technology into you. Making it so you don't have to maybe lose your devices. Your devices might become part of your body. This is fantastic and exciting. And then, of course, exploration of different environments. We know that going to space causes accelerated aging. We know that the detriments of deep atmospheres also cause damage to our body. And so we want to make sure that we're on top of that, and that we don't limit where we can go and who we can go with. So now I'm going to talk about some human data, and all of this will be my data because right now I don't have permission from patients to release their data, but I want to show you what we can do now and what we have seen, not just in my body, but in other people's bodies as well. So years ago, we released a paper on my data. We showed that since my first gene therapy and my second gene therapy, which gave me a little bit of a boost of telomerase reverse transcriptase, this is a gene therapy that lengthens the caps at the ends of the chromosomes. These shortening of these caps are associated with a myriad of disease. As a matter of fact, all the diseases of aging. And critically short telomeres lead to increased risk of genomics instability, which causes cancer. There are a lot of different things that I can tell you, but this would be a talk all on its own. Since my gene therapy is in 2025, my telomere length has lengthened by an average of 5.3 years for every year I've lived. And my telomeres are longer since these results, and I need to get this year's telomere test done, so then we'll have 24 and 25 and then release more information. Very important, short telomeres In your immune system, which are the telomeres that we actually test, short telomeres were associated with deaths in COVID-19. Number one association was immune senescence. Whether you're young or you're old, you need to have cellular division in the immune cells or they cannot divide to attack an infection. So it goes beyond just chromosomal stability and living longer and certain benefits of that. Also, things like lobsters and certain clams, they may be living as long as they do, which is an extremely long time, hundreds of years, due to having telomerase turned on in every cell. So I am a proponent of this. We have not seen drawbacks or adverse drug events, and we've watched patients for over 5 years. Follistatin, we can increase your muscle mass as long as you have precursor stem cells, and we'll be able to increase your strength even if you don't, and we'll talk about a company that is going to help replace those stem cells anyway. This is my results that were put out. This is my MRI image, and my muscle mass increased and my intramuscular fat went down. Follistatin comes with a bunch of benefits. If you look at the literature review around it, it's kind of crazy. It helps with tissue repair, regeneration. It turns down inflammatory markers. We believe that reestablishing the immune system is dependent on turning down these markers, that the things that we used to think actually made your immune system really strong, which was stressors and inflammation, actually keep it from rebuilding your body. And I'm working with a new company that's going to be showing that in human data over the coming year and a half. So this is really important. It may actually even have a protective role, that's follistatin, in prostate and breast cancer. And that's something that we're going to want to watch and see. And of course, increased muscle mass is associated with insulin sensitivity, which is vital to not have type 2 diabetes. Again, we will have growing evidence there. When we talk about brain health, we often talk about alpha-klotho. And one of the things that my company wanted to do, starting in maybe 2016 or 17, after I was treated, is learn how to redose AAV. We're the only company in the world that can do it, that we know of. And we wanted to prove that we were having a therapeutic effect, even with redosing events. So on the left side, you see my alpha-klotho levels. This was after I had already been treated in 2020. But what it shows is that I'm in the 90th percentile for alpha-klotho for my age. And that's fantastic. That means the first gene therapy probably worked. Then we did a redosing protocol, and on the right side, that is an increase to the 95th percentile for alpha-klotho. And since then, I think my score, because we did it again, I just keep doing it. And now it's 1,300 and I think 28. So now I'm, basically hovering in the top area. I don't really want to go over that. We want to get the alpha-klotho in the maximum area. We don't want to take it over what would be natural for a human homeostasis at this point. So I will be working on some other data. Years ago, let's see, this was in 2021, we launched a paper of a safety study with H-TERT and alpha-klotho in patients with dementia. And we saw a benefit. And I actually took this to the US FDA and did a pre-IND on it. And they asked for $8 million worth of animal studies, even though we had human data. So that was at the point that we tipped and we started licensing out to other companies who could use it in the locations they were in, or they had the aptitude and the fortitude to raise the money to get into the US FDA. And I'm happy to tell you we've got two new groups coming on to use this therapy in patients with dementia, one in the US and one in the Bahamas, but we'll talk about some more coming up here. But what happened? Cognitive scores went up and biological age went down. It was not a cure, but it did offer hope for some of these patients. And one patient went from living in assisted living to living on their own. We really want to work this towards a medical cure. These were incredibly low doses. We're hoping with higher doses and the insertion of a third gene that we want to use, we're going to get better results. So what happens if we keep curing mice, but we can't get things to humans? As you know, all of you probably know, I did not get into this industry to do research and development. I got into this industry to help patients, and that's why scientific accuracy is so important for me. We're a different beast. We believe that if you've got good medicine, you'd be using it, and if you're not, we're going to put you to the challenge of getting it up there. I've spent about a third of my time in regulations. I worked in a myriad of zones, one zone that actually approved their regulations last year to use gene and cell therapy, and I will continue to push for new innovative areas to open up for the use and access of these technologies, including the United States. We work with several concierge medicine companies, and these are healthcare companies that basically you're given a special person who handles your dossier, and they help you get access to technology all over the world. This is a Swiss group. They have clinics in Switzerland, and we also work with clinics all over the world with gene and cell technology, and almost anything that is very high value that would be hard to get through a normal system. We also have these 4 licensing partners on top of a couple of other ones we've just added. Future Health is in China. They're a fantastic group. They're starting to work with the Chinese government and 92 hospitals to move technologies forward. On the upper right side is Unlimited Bio. They've been working in Honduras, and they treated a Kardashian. Hey, that is really cool. They're a cool group, very cool group. On the bottom left is Integrative Health Systems. They have treated over 300 patients without an adverse drug event, and knock on wood, we're very proud of them, and they're an incredible group of 13 medical doctors and a concierge system that helps with all the pre and post and all the travel arrangements. And on the bottom right is a group I was going to talk about, that's RegenCell. They're working on replacing your stem cells, but not just replacing your stem cells, reprogramming them and adding genetic function to them. And so you're going to hear more about them over the next couple of years, and that is a super benefit because for people over the age of 65, they're down to 5% of their stem cells, and without these stem cells, you cannot regenerate your body. So these are very, very important cells to the body, so they need to be replaced, and if they're reprogrammed first, that's of benefit, and if they have better gene function, even cooler. So I know that we move quickly, but we are an engine for change. We are a humanitarian group of scientists, medical doctors, and business people who believe that we need to spend our time for the betterment of humankind. And so I want to leave you with this quote: "He who rejects change is the architect of decay. The only human institution which rejects progress is the cemetery." I suggest you don't land there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Liz.
We love your presentation, but we have to say goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.